Okay, so we're at the point where this game is almost finished. You can see that we've got the ball moving and we've got it that it bounces off the paddle, but the only thing we don't, and it bounces off the top and the bottom walls, but the only thing we don't have is when you miss it. So when you miss it, we want the ball to sort of, reset here, and we also want then the points to change. So that would be the main thing that we want to focus on today. So we've got paddle collision here, and what we want to do is then, of course, as I said, add in if we're hitting off the left and the right hand side. So I'm just going to put it into here, and what we'll do, say if ball hits left or right. So this is just another if statement that we have to do, and we basically just say if the ball goes to a certain position. So in terms of that position, we want to basically think about the width here. So the width is 800, split in half, that's 400. But we want to say if it's greater than a specific number, so maybe 380 or 360 or something along those lines. So I'm gonna just try and do that. So we'll have to say if the x coordinate of the ball is greater than, and let me see if I put 380. Okay, so if it's 380, so remember the width is 800, but half of the screen's 400. Then what we want to do is create the score. So for the score, what we've got to do is actually have a score that we've done, and we've got here this bit where we've just dot pen dot right, and we say here 0, and this is player B is 0 too. But what we need is to add in a score. Now, of course, this score we need to initialize at the beginning of the game. So somewhere up here, we could probably just do that. So we'll just set this up into here, and we'll put score. Now, you've got to do for both. So we've got player A and player B here. So we'll do score A equals 0. So this will be at the beginning of the game. This actually gets initialized to this, right? So it'll always, when you reset the game or restart the game, it'll be 0, 0 for both of them, which is fine. Now, of course, here that just gets displayed like that anyway at the beginning of the game. But then what we'll want to do is to be able to edit that, change that. Okay, so to do that, what we want to do in this if statement is we will increment the score to be, plus equals 1. So this x score here will be for player A. So we'll just do score A plus equals 1. And then what we'll want to do is clear the pen. So you see the way here we've got this pen that we're using to write with. Well, we've written that once, so what we want to do is clear it and then write pretty much this, but add in a little bit of information to it. Okay, so instead of it being 0, we want to add the score into this. So we can actually just pretty much copy this pen dot line, and put that down here. We should clear it first, so just make sure it's cleared, pen dot clear. And instead of this 0 here, what we will do is we will do string formatting. So we're going to put the two variables in the string. Now, of course, you can't just write score A here because then that will just say player A, score A. That's what it'll do. So what you can do is you can put these brackets like this and put 0 here. And then the B1, we'll just put 1. And then after the quotes, we put dot format and then open a set of brackets. And in these brackets, then we put score A and score B. Okay, so score A would go here, score B would go here. And if you put score B, score A, then score B would go there, score A would go there. So this is right. So we'll do score A and then just comma and score B. And this, as I say, we'll format this then to change. So if we run it, first of all, let's just have a look and see what happens there. So obviously it's not for this side, but if it goes on the other side, okay, didn't happen, didn't do anything at the moment. Let's have a look. I might have got it mixed up, which one's on which side. Just try it again. Score A plus equals 1. Oh yeah, it's the other side, of course, because it's right. Alright, okay, so there you go. Right, now you can see the number is just continuously going up. Right, so it's because the ball is obviously there. So it's doing the right one though, right? I just got mixed up on which one it was doing, but do this again. So if it goes off, that's player B. So the points are going up. Okay, but obviously we want it just to go up by 1. So if for it to go up by 1, what we need to do is obviously reset the ball because the ball is at this point, right? So we need to move the ball. And of course, that's essentially just resetting it. So we'll do ball dot go to, and we'll just say go to 0, 0, and try that. Okay, so all right, got 1 point, 2 points, 3, 4, and so on. Right, that looks pretty good. Okay, so that's pretty much what we want. So what we'll do is we will set that up for the next one as well. Now, we will essentially just copy this and then just change a little bit of information on it. So here I'm just going to copy that, but make sure you do change the information properly because it's not exactly the same. So I'm going to just put elif here, so this is part of this if elif, and the ball.x core, instead we want it to be, say, if it's greater than minus 380, and then it's score B we want to change here, plus equals 1, and then the rest of it is just the same. So let's have a look now. So it's only really elif and the ball.x core greater than or minus 350, and then score B. Okay, so there you go. Right, so I'm pretty much playing the game now. So if I lose this one, there's a point on that side. Oh, we got something that wasn't quite right there. You could see got stuck behind. So I might have to adjust this a little bit, possibly. Right, so there's an extra point. Right. Right, so it doesn't work exactly 100%. You can see it got stuck there, for example. So maybe we could just adjust these numbers a little bit. So I'm going to bring that down to 360 just to try that. See if that works a little bit better. So it's hard to sometimes mimic some of the problems that you might get. as we find now, but let's see. Right, so I got it kind of stuck there again, so maybe it's just not there, for example. Right, so I'm going to do it even less again. Bring that down to like, say, 350. Try that. It might not end up being perfect by any means anyway, so it does seem sort of okayish, but it could also be that we just need to move the direction of it. Now, when I did that, when I've had it at 350, you can see this does disappear basically there, and I do want it to be a little bit more than that. So I'm going to put it back up to like, what was it, 380, and I'm going to add some extra onto this. So I'm basically going to say when it gets to this point, it also then sort of changes the direction. So you remember how we got it to change the direction, which was this line of code here. So we can just copy that and just put that in there and into this one as well. So this will change the direction back the other way, and it might just force it a little bit better. Let's see if that works out more. That seems okay at the minute. Let's have a look. Still a bit jittery there. I'll play with these numbers again, bring this back down to say 350. This is all trial and error. This is the kind of things that you essentially have to do. See if we get this working properly. Alright, so it looks a little bit. I think it's always just going to be. It's not going to be perfect, is it? So we have to just go with it. It does get stuck a little bit whenever if it's on the paddle there, it's fine. But if it's on the edge of the paddle as such, it sort of gets stuck there. So you'll have to just, as I say, play around with it a wee bit. It's never going to be perfect. It's not, as I say, using turtle graphics for games, it's probably not perfect. Well, I'm going to leave it on 360 for the moment. Okay, so that is your game, and it's essentially complete. But you can see that the game, in terms of the speed that it runs at, usually I remember Pong that the ball would like sort of speed up a little bit, so it would get faster. Like when you hit it, when you hit that with your paddle, it would speed up. And at the minute, it's not doing that, so it just continues on. Right, so I got 1 point there, and then this is fine if this is what you want, but I would probably like to do it where it would start to speed up somewhat on here. So to do that, what we can do is we can say, well, when we get a collision here, now what we'll need to do is then just increase that ball speed. So the ball speed that I set for me and on my one was 4, right? So you may have got a different number for yours. So what I want to do is just increase it. Now we need to obviously think about how it's increasing, and we'll have to have a look. So we'll just do ball dot dx plus equals 4. We'll do that on both sides. Right, so we can do that. And let's see what happens here then. So, oh, did get stuck there. Right, so now you can see it's got faster straight away. But it slowed down there. Right, so that's not quite right. So this, right, yeah, of course. So we're doing here on the plus side. Here we want to do -4. So we'll try that. Oh, there we go. It's getting faster. Oh, now what? Oh dear. Now it's getting really fast, and it's too fast, right? So you can see what's happening here, that the game's going absolutely crazy fast. Here actually I can got it to this point where it's actually sort of bouncing straight off, but actually points are being, see here, you can see even though it looks like it's hitting off the paddle, points are being gained here. So it's almost like it's going too fast. It's going through the paddle at that point. So fine, we've increased it to this, but we probably want to do it where we reset it to 4 again from the increase. So that's easy. So what we do is here, we can just add in that we put it back to 4 and minus 4. Okay, so ball.dx equals 4. So this is if the ball hits the left and the right. So that means that point gets given, and then we just reduce it back to the original speed. And here we'll do -4 for that. Okay, so let's have a go. Look at this one. Right, so it started to speed up. Well, I kind of need to actually test this so that it, right, oh, so I'm still losing points. It does get quite fast, actually, very quickly. Now, what we might figure out here is that it gets too fast, that we need it to actually go to a certain speed and then slow down a bit. But I can't seem to get it to go just play this game properly. Right. So I can see it does go too fast eventually. So what I want to do is just print out the speed that it actually gets to. So we'll just do print here and say ball.dx. Right, so we'll do that on here, here too, and just see what kind of speed we're getting to on this. If we can actually play the game. So here we go. Right, so it does go -4 each time. Okay, so I've got these numbers that I printed out just to see what kind of speed we were getting to. But of course, it is getting reset to 4 here after every score, which is good. Okay, so that works quite nicely. If you do find that it is going too fast and you need to control that speed a little bit. So here, this is the actual speeding up. This bit is actually putting the speed up, and this just resets it. So what we could do here for this, we could say, we could put an if statement in here, and we could say if ball dot dx is, I don't know, less than, let's say I put in just any number, like say 24 for example, then it'll increase that speed, right? And then the same for this one down here, underneath here. So let's say if ball.dx is greater than -24, then increase that speed. Okay, so this, what that essentially that will do is that will limit it to a certain speed that it'll get to, so it won't get even fast, it won't continue to get faster and faster and faster. This number, of course, you want to just test this. You can change those numbers to see which one works for you, because of course, oops, I've got invalid syntax. There you go, 2 dots. It really depends on your computer. Sometimes this will run faster on a different type of computer. So you can see the ball is getting faster, but it'll get to top speed and then essentially not increase any further, which is probably a good idea because you don't want it to go crazy fast. And it does get pretty fast pretty quickly. So you could even just, instead of doing it by 4, you could do it by a number that's less. I'm not doing too well here on player B. Let's have a look. Now, the other thing that you could do at the end of the game is you could program in here that if the score reaches a certain number, that the game ends. Okay. Now you know how to do windows that you could put onto the screen. You could do things like that if you wanted to. You could use tkinter to do those kind of things. So we've just imported Turtle, but you could import tkinter, and you could have like a little message box that pops up. So you can imagine you could do those kind of things as an add-on, or you could just say game over whenever a certain score is reached. So you could program in here, if score is greater than, if score A or score B becomes greater than whatever number you want, then you could do pen.clear, pen.write, and then have it say game over. And with the pen.write, you can see here, you can tell it to go, and you could say go to the middle position. So go to 0, 0, and then you could do pen.write and then say game over. And then you could program it to say which player wins. So that could be an extra little task if you want to try that. So all you're doing is putting another if down here and checking the score. If score is greater than 10, right? So if score A or score B is greater than 10, something like that, then you do, pen.clear, pen pen.go to, pen.write, and then you write whatever message you want, and then you could do something like, you can imagine you could create a tkinter button or something to reset the game and all sorts of things, right? So you could rerun the program again. So there's all these possibilities of things that you could try and do.